Okay, excellent. Okay, so first what we're going to do is we're going to look for a residential property, specifically a single family home that needs some potential repairs. And RPR is going to be my platform, my preferred platform in order to find properties that could be underpriced. RPR has a really cool filter that you may not know about that I'm going to show you guys today. Okay, so we're going to make sure that the dial is set for residential. We're going to come over here on the right where you see more filters, and we're going to find potentially underpriced property. Okay, now when you're using RPR to search for on-market listings, RPR will remember exactly what you did the last time that you used it. So it's very important when you're starting a brand new search that you click after expanding the more filters button. Click on reset. Reset tells the system that I want to start all over. Okay, so as I mentioned, I just want for sale property. I'm going to turn off for lease. We're going to keep just active. I'm going to turn off active, under contract, and pending. We're going to find what is right now available that is not under contract for that potential investor. Okay, we're going to come over here on the right where we see property type. We're just going to look for single family homes. I'm going to turn off condo, townhouse, and apartment, and I'm also going to turn off this little co-op button as well. Okay, now as I move down, how we have the ability to make this search happen is there's a little filter here called price to estimated value. Now, if you've used RPR before and you've pulled up a residential property, you've probably seen a little rating that RPR provides when it comes to their valuation on how much they believe that the property's worth, known as the RVM, which is short for the Realtor Valuation Module. So this price to estimated value is tied to each property's RVM. What we're primarily going to try to look for is properties that have a 5-star rating. A 5-star rating means that RPR is 90% sure or higher that that is the potential market value that buyers would pay for that property as we search. Okay, so let's just make sure that we understand these little dials. We have this one right here in the middle where it says 100 to 110%. What that means is when we're looking for listings, it means that the property's valuation from RPR is saying that the property's listed right at market value, right at 100% based on how much buyers would potentially pay for it, or the property could be a little bit higher than the competition in the area, could be a property 10% higher than the competition as far as asking price. Now, we're going to move this way though. We're going to look at properties that are potentially 10% less than the competition or right at market value. We have another button where we can find properties that are 10% less than the competition or 20%. And then we have this option, which is what we're going to primarily look for, is properties that are 20% less than the competition in the area where there's likely going to need to be some kind of repairs in order to upgrade, modify that property to bring it up to full market value. Okay, so we're going to use this one, 10 to 20%, and then we're going to use 0 to 80%, which is looking at units 20% or higher. Okay, so let's just recap real quick. We're using for sale, active, single family, and then we're going to use these two amazing dials. All right, now we're going to move down. We're going to come here into the keyword search, and the keyword search works very similar to Matrix. If you've used Matrix before, there's a little field that you can add called remarks, where you can search based on how the agent is describing the property. All right, so this keyword search works very similar. It's going to look at how the agent's describing that property within the fields. Not to mention, it's also going to look based on how they described it in the remarks. So if the agent said the property needs some TLC, some tender loving care, I can add that and find where they're mentioning it. We can also look for those units that need some handyman work. We're going to also add the word repair as well. right there. And if you have any other keywords that you want to throw in there, let me know. You can go in the chat and add those. So far, we have TLC, handyman repair. We could use also investor as well. Not to mention investment. It's another good one. All right. Okay. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and use these just to start off with. Unless you guys have some extra ones, just let me know. All right. And then we're going to move up. We're going to move up. And then when you're searching in RPR, you add the location last. So we're going to come over here in the top left corner where you see location. All right. And what we're going to go ahead and look in first is all available units specifically in Miami-Dade County that might be underpriced. Okay. So I'm going to click on Miami-Dade County, Florida, and we're going to try to find that potential deal. Again, we're going to analyze this property specifically inside of RPR and not to mention Matrix and IMAP as well. All right, so let me go ahead and open that up real quick. Let me switch back. Excellent. Okay, now, when you're using RPR to search, you might end up in 3 different locations. Some of us like to look at properties based on the map. So you might end up here in the map view. There's another way to look at these listings. There's also a beautiful photo grid view as well, which will allow me to jump through the photos, as you can see. And then we have that traditional grid view, which shows me the fact that the units are active, the current asking price, the address, bedrooms and bathrooms, lot size, and not to mention RPR's estimation when it comes to the value of the unit. So the very first one that we're coming back, RPR is saying that the unit's 10% less than the local market in that area. It does look like the agent lowered the price. The current asking price for this particular unit is $800,000, but I want to make sure that we have a visual understanding of that realtor valuation module. How RPR is pretty much kind of calculating this unit as being underpriced. So I'm going to access it. We're going to open it up real quick. All right. Now, we're going to look at the photos just real quick. Great curb appeal. All right. Pressure wash the driveway. Looks like we're going to get inside the unit. Looks like they've redone some of the flooring here. Looks like it's been partially renovated. We're just going to go through this real quick. All right. Yeah. Flooring looks amazing. Okay. But yeah, they also redid the bathrooms here a little bit. So we're not going to use this particular unit. We need to find one that needs some kind of repairs, but okay. The reason why this one's showing up is the current asking price is $800,000. RPR is saying within this area, specifically in 33032, in this particular market area, saying that the units are worth about $884,900. It's primarily looking at the bedrooms and bathrooms, the square footage, not to mention the lot size, and then it's giving me an estimation based on the range of units in this area. So it's letting me know this local market starts at 867 or up to 902. And it is letting me know, here's what's very interesting about what I'm seeing, is it's letting me know this particular area. It's going through a lot of redevelopment. I think we know this when it comes to the homestead market, especially that 33032 area. It's letting me know that this area, due to buyers, this month has gone up in value right here at 316,000. Now it is letting me know this area as a whole has gone up within the past 12 months at 60% in value. Okay, but that's a huge jump in 1 month. That's again based on buyers purchasing in this local market. Okay, now as we go down, the reason why this unit's showing up is again it's based on the description on how the agent described it. So the agent's saying 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and it does have an in-law suite. So they're saying that it's 2 properties, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, in-law suite, also known as an accessory dwelling unit, possibly, or a bolt-on. We need to figure that out. With a complete remodel throughout the entire home, move-in, or investment ready. Okay, every area of the home has been fully upgraded with modern, high-quality finishes, offering both comfort and style. Okay, here we go. So they're saying complete inspections for an assisted living facility, okay, including a fire alarm system, full sprinkler system throughout the property, and gas. Okay, the property already has a certificate of use. Okay, completed inspections for an assist. So it's going through a variance. This is an interesting property for us to look at. So this property is going through a variance. In specific, it looks like it was per the county, single family, but it does look like it is going through a variance process through the county where it might be becoming an assisted living facility from what I see. Okay, now this isn't the unit that I want to use to analyze, but I wanted us to understand this little RVM that we see here. Okay, we're going to go back into our results and we're going to find a property that needs some work. We're going to come down. I'm going to come down on this bar here. We're going to keep going. All right, we got some fairly good looking property here. Just going to find one that just calls out to me here. All right, so I think I found a good one here in 33147. Current asking price is 349,000, and RPR is saying that the unit could be a quarter under the competition, 25% less than the potential competition. So I'm going to access this one. We're going to open it up a little bit, and here's the problem with this one. It only has a 1-star rating. So it's telling me that in this local market of 33147, this property looks like a teardown to me. It's letting me know that there's not enough data in this local market for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, small 884 square foot property that has a lot of 7,000 square foot. So it's letting me know that there's just not enough confidence for it to give that estimated price. Look how large that price range is. We're going to go to the next one. We're going to try to find one that has that potential 5-star rating. There we go. We're getting there slowly but surely. All right, I think that one might not be too bad. Let me go back. All right, okay. So we have this one right here in 33168, 831 Northwest 140th Street, coming back at 425. It's letting me know in this local market. RPR believes that this unit could be worth about 646, and it's giving me a range starting as low as 601 up to 691. And it does look like there's a lot of investors purchasing in this area. This area's gone up just this month by 158, as we can see this. So this does look like a fantastic area for investing. Okay, now this property does not look like it's gone through any kind of renovation whatsoever. I see some wood paneling on the outside. We may not have air conditioning. I'm a little nervous on that one. We're going to look at that. We're going to keep going through this unit. All right, looks like this, like it hasn't been really modified since the 70s. Bathroom, though, looks like they've done some recent modifications there as far as the sink, not to mention a little bit of the flooring. Partially renovated unit. Okay, but definitely looks like we may have some issues there with the roof. Okay, let's go through it real quick. This looks like a potential fantastic property in order to find maybe some profit margin here. Okay, now we're going to move down. Description, I just want to see what the agent's saying. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, hot buy won't last investor ready, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom with additional rooms and storage. See attachments showing appraised value. It's been appraised value at 500,000. So it's letting me know there could be a potential profit margin there if we did some kind of redevelopment or fixing. Okay. But that 75,000 is going to be potentially the work I need to do to bring this property into a higher value range. Okay. Now, what we're going to do though, before we run a valuation, a fix and flip on this unit, what we're going to do is we're going to first take the listing number here. I love RPR, but RPR is not going to tell me some of the information that shows up in that listing. So it is telling me to look at attachments. We cannot access attachments in RPR. So I do need to go directly into the MLS, locate that listing number, pull it up. All right. And it does look like this property's gone through some price changes here. So I'm just going to jump to property history just real quick because they did say it's been appraised. I want to confirm that. So it is letting me know originally back in March when the agent added this property to the MLS, they had it put at 450,000 and it did go into contract Looks like it did go under contract. So if the buyer, of course, tries to purchase this property using a loan, the bank's going to want an inspection, right? An appraisal done. And it does look like that it's true. It could be possibly true when it comes to that appraisal price at 500,000. So the agent did modify the price from 450 to 650, but it does look like there was a release and cancellation that did go under contract. The buyer backed out, and it does look like the property has been currently reduced to, as we just wanted to find that real quick. Okay, now the other thing that we want to do is we want to go into IMAP, so that we want to use all of these tools together in order to figure out that return on investment. The reason why we're going to go from RPR into IMAP is IMAP will tell me if there's potential violations on this property. All right. And I also want to know if the homeowner filed permits. They did some work on this property. I want to see if they filed permits in order to modify that unit as well. Okay. Now, as I go down, okay, here's a detail that was not showing up in the listing. We have one right here. This property is under foreclosure, as we can see. The homeowner got their very first notice from their lender back in August of last year. Right here, we have the plaintiff, which is the bank, and we have the defendants, which is the current owners of the property, the amount, and it does look like there is an auction date that might have been pushed out. Okay. Now, again, this is information that mirrors directly from the county website. All right, as we go down, IMAP is saying that they believe that the unit would be worth around 528. IMAP's pretty good at giving us an estimation. We have the current equity established on the property here at 392, meaning the bank, let me go up here real quick. Under valuation analysis, bank is going to get about 135. But again, I want to know if this property has got any code violations on it. Okay, so we do. We have a couple here. We have a code violation directly from, looks like the city. I say this nicely, looks like the homeowner may have had some trash on the outside there or overgrown grass on the yard. And it does also show me address, house number not displayed. So they did not have the unit number for this unit, the actual address displayed on the outside. Looks like they have that now, as we can see. And it did go into the foreclosure registry not once, but twice. It was added again here back in August 20th. So, from my opinion, on this particular property, it looks like the homeowner was, they're under distress, but it looks like the owner's trying to keep the property. They're working with their lender to pay off some of the, installments. They still have the property, but it does look like, again, they're going continuously into getting that lease pendants notice directly from their lender. It looks like here a multiple amount of times. Okay, now as we go down, we're going to go into the permit section just real quick. Okay, it does look like back in 2023, there was a reshingling done. It looks like they've done some modifications to the windows as well, which is very important to see. I can see that they did put 14,000 there into the windows. And get a little bit of some older details back in 1993 that does not necessarily matter. But we're going to go ahead and see. They've redid a little bit of the roof there. And not to mention, we also see that they've as well redid some of the windows. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and go here back into RPR. And we're going to account for what we should fix on this property here. It does look like looks okay on the outside. I just want to confirm if there's AC. Okay, so they did have Mr. Glass go out there to replace the windows, which we did confirm. Definitely need to do some pressure washing, that's for sure. And the other problem is they're not necessarily letting me see the internal photos, at least here in RPR. Let me go into Matrix. I think we have a little bit of maybe some more photos. I'm hoping they're not letting us in. Oh, here we go. Okay. Yeah. Partial upgrade here to the bathroom. Okay. Ceiling though, I know they redid the shingles, but we got a roof issue here. We're going to take that into consideration. Flooring also needs to look like it does need to be repaired as well. All right. Okay. Partial modification to the other bathroom. This roof has me absolutely, not concerned, but we may need to redo this roof, as we can see. Okay. All right. Let's keep going through it. Certainly the kitchen also needs to be upgraded and modified as well. Okay, so this is a fantastic property in order to figure out that potential profit margin. All right. Okay, so where we're going to go is we're going to go into RPR. What we're going to do first is we're going to run a flip analysis, which you can do absolutely for free on any residential or commercial property. So we're going to take advantage of the Valuate system. I'm going to click on Valuate, and we're going to go ahead and try to figure out if there's potential profit margins here. Okay, now, if you get this message, it just simply means that you have the ability to run up to 5 reports on property using the Valuate platform. Okay, now, after you run 5 reports, you might get this message where RPR is going to ask you to upgrade so that you can run additional reports. Now, I think we all like free. I just like to say that. I think we all like to keep things, a little bit free. So when you create 5 reports and you want to, again, maybe not upgrade, and you want to continue to use the service for free, all you have to do is delete any of your old reports, just like so. And then from there, you will be able to run that potential flip analysis. You just have to delete any of your older reports. Okay. Now, this first example of how to use the RPR valuation system is using the flip. In a little bit, we're going to run through a long-term hold. Okay. So we're going to use the flip. We have the property name. Again, this is a report that we can give to that potential buyer. All right. So we have the property name. We're going to enter a scenario name. We're going to enter the name of our investor. All right. So I'm going to say that the investor, I know if you've taken classes with me before, you've seen me add Lionel Messi a bunch or Ronaldo. We're going to mix this up a little bit. We'll put John Smith, investor, is going to purchase this potential property that we're doing the analysis for. That's going to bring in the square footage of that unit, the current asking price as well. Okay. But again, I'm also going to teach this from a mechanical perspective. So we're going to pretend that the buyer didn't submit an offer right at asking, that we went under. Just based on the condition of the unit, we're going to put the purchase price at $390,000. All right. But the goal is to try to flip this unit within 6 months. Okay. So what we're going to try to do is repair the property and then sell it within 6 months. But one thing I want to say is we have to market this property at the time that the buyer wants to sell it. We have to market the property. We also have to analyze how long it's going to take for the unit to sell as well, right? This market's a little slow. This unit has been on the market for 240 days. So we have to make sure that we enter full year holding costs. Okay. So holding costs would be any potential debt as we hold on to the unit. That includes the tax amount, if there's any association fees as well. And we would also have to incorporate, not to mention insurance. We also want to know if this unit is in a flood zone. That's also something very important. We want to know if this unit falls within a flood zone as well. Okay, which it does, as we can see. All right. And then what we want to do from there is enter that full year holding cost. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add some different things that we have to consider as debt during the hold. Okay, so we have that tax amount right here. We also see that the unit's not in an association, so we get away with that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add some debt here. I'm going to put in 8,526. I'm going to add that. Okay. The other thing is we need to incorporate tax, as I mentioned, taxes, insurance. All right. So we're going to go ahead and look at the insurance here. We're going to add that directly to the amount. All right, so we're going to say, again, we're going to compensate between 6 months all the way up to a year. All right, we're going to go ahead and enter the following amount. We're going to go ahead and put in here just a ballpark it at 10,000. That's going to be specifically for the insurance, flood insurance there during the hold. Just incorporate that. Again, I'm anticipating this unit being on the market for a year. It could be. All right. And then the other thing that we want to make sure that we do is incorporate an amount that we do have to pay back if we hold on to this unit. Okay. So we have so far the tax amount. We're going to incorporate the insurance on the unit here. What we're also going to add towards this overall value is the devaluation tax, also known as the recapture tax. Okay. This unit, because the buyer that's purchasing it is not moving into the property because it's an investment, we do have to pay an income tax on this particular unit. Okay, so if you want to know how to calculate that, what we do is we take that asking price. So we're going to say that, again, it's going to be $390,000. What we want to do from there is locate and subtract the land value. So I'm going to move up here. All right, got a good amount for the land value. So if I go into my calculator, I take that asking price, I minus the land value. All right, what that gives me is the amount during the hold of that unit when it comes to the property. So let's just make sure that this makes sense. So that 193,125, in order to figure out if I, again, hold on to this unit for a minimum of a year, I need to consider that price that has to be paid directly back to the government. Okay, so when it's a residential property, what we do is we divide by 27.5. If it's a commercial property, we divide by 39 years. Okay, so I'm going to take that 193,125, and then we're going to divide by 27.5. All right, meaning I need to consider as the holding cost at the time that we pay out, right there at 7,022. All right, so we're going to add that directly to the 19,000 as a potential holding cost. We're going to enter here into the RPR valuation at 26,000. But what I need to make sure everyone knows is this is not the renovation budget. This is just what I'm anticipating if I hold on to this unit for a year, if I cannot get it sold. All right, now as I go down, right here where you see fiscal year one begins, this is when the buyer plans on purchasing the property. All right, so we're going to say that they're going to purchase this property in, let's go ahead and say, move down. Let me move my zoom bar real quick. December 1st. All right. Of this year. And then we're going to try to hold on to it for 6 months. All right. And then we're going to enter a loan to value. So this report does give you a calculation based on if the buyer purchases the unit in cash, and not to mention if they are going to purchase it as well using a loan. Okay. So we're going to go here to loan to value. All right. And then we're going to say 40% cash down. The rest of it's going to be a loan at 60%. And then because we have such a high cash down, we're going to go ahead and we're going to say that the interest rate is going to be at 6.5. All right. And then right here where you see number of equity players, what this is how many buyers are going to hold on to the unit if there's going to be multiple investors looking to purchase it. So we have 1, 2, as well as 3. So I'm going to say that we just have John Smith that's going to purchase it. We're just going to go to number of equity players and just put one person. All right. From there, I'm going to click on submit. All right. And what this does is it's going to give me my potential profit margins. Okay. We're going to come back here. I'm going to explain this in a little bit, but what we want to make sure that we do so that these numbers make sense, we do want to make sure that we go into this section here on the right, or you see purchase and sale. Okay, why? If I purchase this unit, I do need to enter that renovation budget in order to bring this property up to market value, including the repairs. I need to enter closing costs as well. And then if, for example, if I fail to sell this unit within a year and I have extra cash, meaning reserves, to maybe add later on, maybe brand new TVs, maybe do some additional work later on, capital reserve escrow right here will allow me to set aside additional cash that my buyer has that they're going to do repairs maybe later on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fill this out. So as we noticed, I think my personal opinion is this property does have they did redo some of the shingles, but man, it looks like that roof may need to be, removed, repaired. We're going to incorporate that. We also see that the kitchen also needs to be redone, not to mention the flooring. So we're going to go right here in the renovation budget, and we're going to say that this unit needs 60,000. So again, we're going to enter that here under renovation budget. And then when I do this, when I add that information, we're going to notice that for example, my buyer purchases this unit directly using cash at the time that they sell it, we're looking at 122,000. But I'm going to explain what this means once we go back into the home menu. It's letting me know if my buyer purchases using a loan that we're looking at a potential return on investment at 116,163. Okay, but we're not done. We've entered so far the renovation budget. We also need to enter the closing costs as well. I'm going to go a little high. When I calculate this, we're going to go a little higher than 3%. We're going to go at 5%, which is typically the highest end of closing costs. So we're going to enter that 390,000. We're going to multiply by 0.5 right there. We're going to enter closing cost. We'll round up a little bit at 20,000 here. Enter that. We're not going to put a reserve funding here. We're going to leave that alone. But as you can see, there's a little exclamation mark over the renovation budget. Reason why that's here is, again, we're creating a report for our customer. Okay, so when you see this exclamation mark, what the system is asking you to do is to go into the section cash flow in order to enter at what point your buyer is going to do repairs. Okay, so we're going to get to that in just a little bit, but I need to explain why that little exclamation mark is showing up. Okay, now again, this is at the time that we're going into purchasing that property for that investor. As I go down, I can enter any details when it comes to the split on equity and debt broker fees. We're going to input 6% here. All right. Again, that brings down my profit margins, as you can see. And I can enter any recording fees, miscellaneous fees, and of course, transfer tax. I don't have to do that when it comes to a Florida property that is going to be here under the closing costs, where I don't have to itemize that separately. But if you want to enter 1%, you can. Okay. Now, all right. As we go up, again, it's letting me know right here with this little exclamation mark that I need to go into the cash flow and then tell my potential customer. I need to tell my potential customer within the report when we're going to do those repairs. Okay, but I want to make sure I mention in the updated version of Valuate, there's a really cool thing here on the right where we see sale. So again, this is after we do the renovation. It's letting me know, again, we're going to hold on to it for 6 months, and it's letting me know so far that in order to make this property profitable, in order to achieve that 78,000, it's letting me know I need to list it somewhere at 585. But this is what I wanted to show you. It will now let me enter any selling costs, including broker fee here. I can enter that here as a percentage inside of that report. That's new. Okay. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to come over here in the top left. What I need to make sure that I do within this report is go into cash flow. And then I need to tell this report for my customer at what point we're going to do those renovations. Okay. So we're going to say that we're going to knock out repairing the roof immediately. We're going to redo the flooring as well. That's second month. In the kitchen, we're going to go ahead and put 30,000 there. Right? And then when I do this, as you can see, I no longer have that exclamation mark. It is now fulfilling within the report, telling my customer when we're going to renovate the unit. Okay, now it will also give me a breakdown on that individual debt service as well during the hold, debt service with tax amount, and then also the cash flow after debt service, that amount that we see here as well. Okay, now what we're going to go ahead and do next is, so far we went through purchase and sale, we've gone through cash flow. We're going to jump over to source of funds just real quick. And again, we're in the flip version of this report. When we're in the flip version of the report, you have the ability to go into the sources of funds section. And if, for example, maybe the seller counter offers, we can go at any time within the report and then change that potential purchase price. Maybe we get qualified by a different lender. We can change the interest rate as well as the down payment. Here, we can also change the length term of the loan, the amortization term as well. And if there's any interest periods, when does that start? Is that going to be in the beginning? I can enter that here as well. Okay. All right. We can also enter if there's any fees as well. Now we're going to come up real quick. We're going to go ahead and go into the next section, which is levered analysis. Levered in a nutshell just simply means if my buyer is purchasing the property using a loan, what that does is it shows me how much equity is being placed on the property with debt on the property, purchase price, interest rate, not to mention the NPV, and then a breakdown of the funding, including purchase price, acquisition costs, and total use of those funds. Okay, we're going to circle back and go through these once we go through the other report in just a little bit. We're going to go into the home page. All right, and I want to break this down so we understand what we're looking at. Okay, now, right here on the left, this is, again, at the time that the buyer goes in to purchase the property. It gives us the square footage, lot size, bedrooms and bathrooms, purchase price, price per square footage. And then it tells me in order for this property to be potentially profitable, it's letting me know at the time that the seller sells this unit, in order to get 78,600, I need to place this property at an asking price of 585,000. Now, what I love about RPR is RPR will tell me within that local market individual price ranges. So it is letting me know that this market starts at 601 up to 691. Again, this is not taking into consideration repairs or renovation. This is just looking at all of the active units in the area, properties that have gone under contract in the area, and units that have sold as well in that area. Okay. We also have to keep in mind that this unit's been appraised at 500,000. Okay, so this could be or could not be a deal. It just comes down to how much we're redeveloping the unit, including the material that we're using to redevelop the unit, and how mid-range or high-end as far as upgrading the flooring, kitchen, bathrooms, the roof as well. Okay. All right. So from here, if you do want to share this report directly to your customer, if you do want to provide this report directly to your customer, there's a button up here on the top right where you see share. When you access share, you do have the ability to provide a link to your customer so that they can access this through a text message, through email, through WhatsApp. And if you want them to start on the home page, you can click on home. There's also levered analysis, cash flow, purchase sale, source of funds. You can have them start anywhere you want within that report. You just click on share file. That's going to generate a link for that report. But you do run out of links. I need to make sure I mention that you do run out of links as you use this platform. So make sure that you come over here on the right where you see Valuate. And if you want to delete any of your old links, you just go up here to manage shares, and then that's going to allow you to enable or disable any of your past reports that you've created. Okay. All right. Now, if you want to share for example, an Excel version of the report or PDF version of the report, you're going to come up here to the right where you see File. We're going to move down, and then you can export into PDF, Excel, or you never know. Maybe you help this customer buy the property and sell it. You can embed this report on your website using HTML code. Okay, for now, we're going to use PDF. I'm going to click on PDF. All right, perfect. And then we have that amazing report that we can provide directly to that customer, letting them know going in when they purchase it, when they sell the property within 6 months, that sale valuation, a breakdown of the loan, not to mention as well as the partner equity split if there's multiple investors located here. Breaks down all of the equity, third-party investing, and not to mention the sponsor and owner equity during the hold of the unit. Okay. All right, perfect. So that's, again, a quick rundown of the flip analysis. All right, what we're going to do next is we're going to look at several either apartment units or multifamily units that are available for sale. What we're going to do is we're going to look at running a long-term hold. Okay, so we're going to look at specifically cap rates. We're going to talk about terms like net operating income and much, much more. Okay, now what we're going to do for this is I'm going to go back into Matrix real quick. I'm going to go under search, and then we're going to look at, again, multifamily units or apartment units that are available for sale where the agent is disclosing their financials. Okay, so we're going to go right into the commercial improved and industrial section. We're just going to use active for this. I'm going to turn off coming soon and active with contract. We're going to move down to transaction type. I'm going to click on sale. All right, now there's a reason why I'm using Matrix and not RPR for this. Matrix will let me see more information about the units, including their potential gross revenue. Okay, so we're going to use transaction type sale. We're going to go down to type of property, and then we're going to look for those income multifamily units. All right, and we're going to say that the buyer is looking between, let's say, 11 apartment or multifamily units available for sale up to, let's say, 45. All right, we're coming back with 76. We're going to move up to county, and let's look in both the Broward and not to mention the Miami-Dade County area. Okay, so we're coming back with 66 available listings. All right, I'm going to click on results. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to build a very quick return on investment grid so I can see the income that the current owner has on these units from the tenants and any other potential revenue. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to add first the city name where these units are located. That's very important to see. I'm also going to insert the number of units, so I know how many units are inside of each transaction. All right, and I'm going to come over here on the left. We're going to add gross operating income. I'm going to explain what that is in just a moment. All right, we're also going to add as well net operating income. I'm going to explain what that is as well in just a moment. All right, and last but not least, again, this is if they're disclosing it. It's not required, but it's always good to know if they're disclosing any expenses as well. Okay, so I'm going to go to GOI. All right, I'm going to put these so we can see all of the available units. Okay. All right, so it looks like the unit that we're going to use, units that we're going to use is located in the Miami area. Right here, it does look like there is 31 multifamily units available for sale. And it's letting me know for all 31 units, it's letting me know that the owner that owns all of these multifamily units, they're bringing in 323,257 when it comes to the annual income. That's going to include rent and potentially any other source of income, such as if they're charging for parking spaces, use of the laundry facilities, things like that. It's letting me know that their total gross operating income is 323,257. Now, when I subtract expenses, including association fees, insurance, not to mention any turnover. What I mean by turnover is at the time that the units are not occupied, if there's any kind of repairs, those are going to go towards the total expenses. So generally speaking, and the math is not here for this one, but generally when I take the gross operating income and then I minus the expenses, it gives me the net operating income. Okay, which is not completely there. Okay, so what we're going to do real quick is we're going to open this one. I'm going to click on the listing number. All right. And let me clarify something. Mercury's a little bit in retrograde, so forgive me. What I meant to say is there, right here's 12 units. 12 units. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and go back in there. 12 multifamily units. Let's move down. All right. Okay. It's letting me know that they're all occupied. All 12 units are occupied. It's letting me know that their cap rate at this time is 6.3%. Okay. Now, if I go back into that single line display, I can just double check to make sure that that's accurate, that is indeed the cap rate. Now, they did lower the price. Okay, so we're going to calculate. I want to make sure you guys know how to do cap rate calculation. All right, so let me go ahead and pull up my calculator again. All right, so if you don't know how to calculate cap rates, what you do is you take the net operating income. So they're saying for these 12 units, it's 245,360. All right, and then we divide that by the, again, the asking price located right here. Let's just see if that is indeed accurate. All right. It's 6.3, it's 6.3%. They're saying 6.5, not too far off. It's right there on the money. Just wanted to do that double check. Okay, so let's go back into it real quick. And this is what I wanted to show. It's very important that we calculate the total amount of expenses. So they're itemizing separately the insurance expenses, RE taxes, the utility expenses here. Any other source of income, they itemize that separately. And then they also have the trash expenses there as well. Okay, perfect. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to take this unit, all 12 of these units, and then we're going to calculate that return on investment during that hold. Okay, so we're going to take that listing number, plug that in here, switch my dial to commercial. We're going to look up these units. All right, and then this time, what we're going to do is we're going to run that report for a long-term hold. So we're going to pretend that the buyer that wants to purchase these units, they're going to hold on to these units for 10 years. 10 years. So we're going to come down here to additional resources. I'm going to click on Valuate. We're going to continue. All right. Let me go ahead and remove my old reports. Another thing I want to make sure I mention is if you have a Mac, sometimes when you delete your reports, it does get a little glitchy like this, where you have to do it a couple of more times. All right, close out, do it again. There you go. It should let me do it this time. Bear with me a moment, everyone. Try that again. There you go. Now it did it. Now it's going to let me do it. Okay, here we go. Little glitchy on Macs. We just got to get through it. There you go. Excellent. Okay. So again, this time we're going to use the long-term hold. All right, but make sure that you select the correct property types. So it came back using industrial. Now, these are not industrial units. These are going to be multifamily units. So I need to change that because that changes all of the menu as far as the information that I plug in. Okay, so I have my property name, which is where these units are located. I'm going to go to scenario name. And then this time we're going to say that we have a different buyer. We're going to say that it's for the Martinez family. We have the square footage coming back. We have the current purchase price. And here's the other thing I wanted to show you, especially when it comes to multifamily. It might not get the square footage correctly because a lot of multifamily sales have multiple folios. Okay, so this is a multiple folio transaction, as we can see. So what I need to do is update this report from 2 units to 12 units. Okay. All right, from there, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to move down into entering the gross potential rent, also known as the gross operating income, how much we're bringing in when it comes to wealth for all of the units that the buyer's purchasing. So we're going to jump back into the MLS. Let me just pull up that listing number. Okay. All right. So there, it's letting me know that the gross operating income right now for all the 12 units is $323,257. So I enter that here. All right. As the gross potential rent. And then I also need to add those operating expenses as well as those reserves. Okay. Now, here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to enter this amount because we've established that the agents itemize those separately here. So we're going to move down into finance, which is why we always want to use matrix in conjunction with RPR when we're analyzing these properties. All right, so we're going to add all of the expenses that we have itemized here. So we're going to add first the utility expenses. We're going to add that. All right, we're going to add the insurance, taxes. All right, move it over. Trash. Okay, 55. Okay, 50. I got it. Yeah, I figured out the math. Okay, we're gonna add that 77,000 up here in expense amount. I think that's gonna achieve that difference. Yeah, 133. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and enter the expense amount at 133. I'm gonna round up a little bit at 134. All right, enter that. Okay, and again, so the thought process is the buyer that we have, they're going to purchase these multifamily units, and then they're going to hold on to these units for 10 years. Now, what the system does, RPR will automatically, during that 10-year hold, calculate a growth expecting the owner to raise the rent by a minimum of 3% on all of the units each year. So automatically RPR will enter this 3% growth. Now, if we're looking at multifamily units that are fixed in price, that they're not going to go up or down, you can go into the annual income growth and you can change that percentage if need be to 0. But we're going to say that over the 10-year hold for these units that we're going to annually raise the rent for these units by 3%. All right, now we're going to move down to fiscal year 1 begins. Again, this is at the point that the buyer is going to purchase this unit, December the 1st of 2025. We're going to hold on to them for, as I said, 10 years. All right, and then we're going to do, we'll do a 25% cash down using the rest as the loan. Interest rate, we're going to put, let's put 6%. We can enter the number of equity players. Again, how many buyers are going to purchase these units? We can select 1 to 2. All right, we're going to click on submit. All right, and then what this does is it gives me, kind of like what we saw earlier, the unlevered analysis. So again, this is at 10 years, how much profit we're going to bring back if we raise that rent 3% each year. So it's letting me know at year 10, again, I have not entered closing costs or anything like that. It's letting me know that we're going to bring back 2,670,000. It's also going to give me the average cash on cash. Okay, so how this is calculated, if you don't know how that's calculated, is it's taking the net operating income. Again, how much we're bringing in annually minus expenses. And then what it's calculating during that long-term hold. I want to make sure we understand this. And I'm going to try to put this in a chat so everyone has access to it. What the cash on cash is calculating is, again, that net operating income, how much we're bringing in annually, and then it's dividing the closing costs, which we have not put in yet, closing costs, not to mention the down payment, and then this average cash on cash is multiplying that by 100, giving us that percentage. Okay, so that's how, just in plain English, how that average cash on cash is calculated. But again, we have not yet entered under the purchase sales section. We have not entered details when it comes to closing costs. Not to mention if we're going to have money set aside to maybe renovate the properties later on. Okay, so we're going to come in here real quick. We're going to go ahead and go into closing costs. All right, again, we're going to go a little high. Go to calculator, let's delete. All right, we're going to go a little, again, high again. All right, so the closing costs, we're looking at 194. We're going to go up to 195 just to round that out. Plug that in. All right, and I am going to say that we're going to hold on to a budget. We're going to hold on to, let's say, 50,000 in order to maybe redo the TV sets in the room, not to mention maybe the kitchen areas of the property. Just we're going to set aside a budget. And again, as you enter closing costs or reserves, your unlevered analysis, that amount during the 10-year hold is going to go down. And if we do decide to, buyer purchases this unit using a loan, it's going to also have that loan amount go down as well. All right, now we're going to enter a equity debt broker fee at 6%, as we did earlier. Enter that here. Again, that's going to affect the with all cash and if we purchase using a loan. All right, and under purchase and sale, the other thing we can do is, of course, change the holding period if we need be, as well as the sale capitalization rate if need be. Any of these sections are going to be modifiable, including the selling costs, broker fee as well. Okay, we're going to go to source of funds. And as I mentioned earlier, source of funds, at any time, I can change the purchase price. I can also change the interest rate, as well as the cap rate. It's letting me know. We're really looking at maybe 5% here. And as I move down, I can change the length of the loan right here, including the length, the interest rate. All right, and if my customer decides to maybe refinance, it's the other thing. For example, we're holding on to these units for 10 years, but maybe in 5 years, maybe the owner wants to refinance. We do have here under permanent loan where we can modify that detail as well. So if we want to maybe have them refinance at month 60, it will give that calculation on that return on investment after that 10-year hold, including that refinancing. We can enter an interest only period as well, kind of like what we were seeing earlier. And then, of course, that length of the loan and any fees, we can modify that here as well. All right. Okay. So where we're going to go next is we're going to go into cash flow. All right. Cash flow is one of my personal favorite sections to go into for the long-term hold, where I can enter any other capitalization during the hold, anything that we're bringing in as far as revenue. We can also enter any concessions as well for new leases, vacancy loss on all of the units that we have selected each year. We can also, further down under renovation schedule, we can enter at what point the units are going to be redeveloped or renovated. And then further down here, under this section, we can enter any source of income, including for charging for parking, late fees, termination fees, laundry facility use, application fees in order to, move into one of these units, cost for cable, TV, retail. We can itemize that again as any source of income. Over here on the right, we can enter individual expenses, including utilities, payroll, general and administrative, marketing, and advertising. Whenever, for example, one unit becomes available, we have to go into social media platforms, not to mention online websites, to let potential tenants know the unit's available. We have contract maintenance that we can enter as itemized debt, turnover costs, repair and maintenance, insurance. And I am not going to put in details on individual expenses because we loaded those in bulk here under miscellaneous expenses. But again, if you want to itemize individual expenses during the whole, you absolutely can and provide that to your customer. All right, as we move down, we can also enter amounts for vacancy loss, renovated unit rent premium if we've raised the rent on the units, prepay income, other month's rent as well, loss to lease during the time that the units are vacant, vacancy loss. Let's move down real quick. Rent concessions, credit loss write-off as well for that customer, operating expenses, including utilities. This is new. This is in the new version. Renovation savings, payroll expenses, insurance, contract maintenance, turnover costs, and much, much more. That's if we want to itemize that and put those into the report. Now, we're going to move into another one of my favorite sections that our potential buyer can use after they purchase these units, or myself. Maybe I'm an investor. Maybe I'm buying these units. What I love about Rent Roll is it's going to let me keep tabs on all of the units, including the length that the tenant has when they moved in, when they're set to move out, my current established income on those units. I can enter if those units are studio. So it's got all 12 units here. I can enter if the units are studios. I can mention if it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom unit, if there's any individual features, and I can enter more detail on each unit. So I can put in apartment 1 here, enter the style, square footage, and then this is a great way for that potential customer to keep tabs on when potential tenants are going to move out, and of course, see that income that's available for each unit. So again, that's the rent roll option. There's also a unit mix option here where I can build and add units automatically from scratch. Okay, now this is another amazing thing about this part of the report is I can continue to export this report directly into Excel. But once I'm done, if I finish it inside of RPR, I can also download it as an Excel spreadsheet. All right, let me jump into chat. Oh, yeah, absolutely can. This is amazing. It's amazing stuff. All right. Okay, now the last but not least, we're going to go into levered analysis right here. Again, levered means if my buyer purchases with a loan, and it is letting me know because I did enter under source of funds. I did mention that at year 5, we're going to refinance. So it is letting me know within that report. It did change that average cash on cash because I did enter, as I mentioned, closing costs there. It's letting me know our cash on cash is at 5.68. Equity multiplier is at 1.5, and that internal return rate, which is an Excel spreadsheet calculation. It's letting me know we're looking at 5.18%. And at year 10, we're looking at $2,192,000. Loan, if I refinance at year 5, we're looking at $587,000. Breaks down that capitalization, including the equity, the cash down, the rest of it being a loan. Again, at year 5, the refinancing. And then again, this is I can modify this report at any time. I can change the purchase price. That's going to change the cap rate automatically, and I can change the interest rate if I need to as well. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to go home real quick to the main menu just to make sure that I explain this part of the report. All right. So again, the system is automatically incorporating that 3% growth for each unit if we're raising the rent prices. It's giving me that cap rate growth each year. And it's letting me know at year 10, if we continue to raise that rent by 3%, we're going to look at a healthy cap rate at 7.37%. All right. Okay. As I move down, at the time that my buyer purchases, I can add the amount of parking spaces if I need to. I can also mention if all of the units are occupied, which they are. And then it's going to give me the sale acquisition here on the right. That ending cap rate. It's going to break down the if they purchase using a loan, including the internal return rate for that, and the equity multiplier as well. Okay, perfect. So over here on the right, if you want to share this report with your customer, we covered this earlier. We're going to go through it real quick. You go to share. You can have them start on the homepage, levered analysis section. If you want them to begin entering after the time that they purchase these units, if you want them to use it as a rent roll, we have that here. Cash flow. If you want them to start on the purchase and sales section, you can have them start in any section you want. You just click on share. All right. We have the file option to export as PDF, Excel, or embedded. And again, if I run out of reports, I run 5 reports and I want to delete any past reports, I go to Valuate, I go to manage my files, and then I just click on the trash can in order to remove any files that I created without having to upgrade. And then while we ask, what is the profit 10 years? So that's what I was mentioning earlier. Let's go back home real quick. That's going to be here. If they purchase unlevered means if they purchase using cash right there. And then if they use a loan, that's how much we're looking at bringing back. Again, I did do a refinancing. I want to make sure I just repeat this under source of funds. I did go into this report and then I did show you guys here towards the bottom where there's an option to incorporate refinancing if they do.